Well, he was perhaps one of the more elusive stars. Only a few can truly claim to have known him properly well. One man who did get close, though, is Terry George, a childhood friend of the star. And he joins me now from Manchester. Thank you very much for talking to us, Mr. George. First of all, how did you get to know Michael?
Hi, Dermot. Well, it's quite unusual. I had a very unusual hobby of interviewing celebrities from the age of 12. And at the age of 13, I went and knocked on Michael Jackson's door in his hotel room and asked him could I do an interview. And he invited me in and I did the interview and I was there for about 2.5 hours. And I kept going back day after day, and nearly a whole week I went back, and he introduced me to all of his family. And they were in Leeds playing a venue which held about 2,500 people. So that sort of gives you an idea of the scale of the size of them. And Michael Jackson wasn't really created as this huge idol as he's become. It was when he actually lived and worked with the Jacksons as brothers.
Yeah, and it seems then incredibly approachable. I mean, you must have been quite a resourceful 13-year-old to get through to him.
Well, I was, and I'd interviewed the Prime Minister at the time, Harold Wilson and Omar Sharif and Diana Dawes, and many people who were around.
But let's go back to Terry George. Terry, we cut you off there, or the technical gremlins did there. You were just telling us about you as a 13-year-old interviewing Harold Wilson, amongst others.
Yeah, I think somebody's going to get a sack after this, aren't they? Yeah, Harold Wilson was one of the people I interviewed, also Omar Sharif and Diana Dawes, Dick Emery, any big celebrity who was around at the time. Michael Jackson was around with his brothers, and I didn't actually know which one to interview. And someone said, "Oh, Michael Jackson's the lead singer, interview him," and that's what I did.
Did you record that interview? Have you kept it?
Oh yeah, I've recorded it. It's been played on various places, and I've kept it. I've got many other recordings of Michael Jackson as well, and one of the things that he gave me as a gift was an album, it was an album track that he was recording, a song called Always Be Not Always, and he explains how he was writing the song and, some of the features that were going to be on the song and how he wanted it to be. And there is only one of that, only one of its kind, and he was going to erase it, but he said, you know what, I'm going to trust you, I'm going to give you this, and that's what he did. And, it was amazing. He was such a generous man.
And did you stay in touch with him when he came to Britain? Did you go out to the United States?
Well, this was back when I was 13, and we like I say, I went back day after day for nearly a whole week. He then said, can we exchange numbers and addresses and we'll keep in touch? And that's what we did. And he was then going to London and went on to the Noel Edmonds Swap Shop programme. And he rang me. That was the first phone call I got from him, to say that I'm going to go on Swap Shop and I'll wave to you on TV. So I thought, wow, I'm going to be waved to by Michael Jackson at the time. But that never happened. He never waved at me. But he was on Swap Shop. And then he'd gone back to the States. And we had lots of phone calls from then on. So many, in fact, that we got 2 huge telephone bills. And on the 3rd telephone bill, it was over £350. We weren't able to pay it, and our telephone got cut off. So it was nearly a year of long conversations with him, really, that had gone on.
And let's look at the last 24 hours. I mean, what was your reaction? How did you hear? How did you react when you heard the extraordinary news?
Absolutely. I got a phone call from the States, first of all, of somebody telling me that Michael Jackson has just been rushed into hospital. I then turned on the news to see if anything was going on. None of the channels had anything, but Sky News had a story breaking. So I watched Sky News. Then I got a call saying that he'd actually died. And I said, he can't have done. They're not saying anything on Sky News. He said, no, he's died. I'm telling you, he's definitely died. And I watched, and within the hour, it was officially announced that he died. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I just would never have imagined that, he wasn't going to come out of that hospital. Absolutely devastated, like the world, like all of his fans. It's an absolute tragedy and a huge loss of a man that many people have loved.
I mean, theories abounding about what may or may not have happened. I mean, he certainly seemed, and he was under a lot of pressure and stress, and then of course this huge number of concerts looming.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought that when he was having the last trial that he had, I thought he wasn't going to come out of that alive. I thought something's going to happen. He's never going to make it through this. And of course, that must have had a lot of pressure on him. It must have taken a big toll on his health. I mean, he looked ill. It looked like he couldn't even be bothered to get ready. Coming into court with his pajamas, it looked like someone had dragged him there. And it must have been horrific going through all that. But then he came out of it at the other end, and he survived it. And of course, there is going to be pressure, whether it's psychological or not, of having to do 50 concerts. I mean, I was going to be there on the first night to watch him, and I was hugely looking forward to it. And then that pressure must get to somebody. Well, it must have got to him. But whether that's been the cause of his death, obviously we're waiting to find out. And I'm as keen as you are to know what has caused his death, really.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to hear something from the coroner later on tonight. But Terry, thanks very much indeed for that. Terry George, a childhood friend of
Dermot.
Michael Jackson. Yeah, one more thing, Terry. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's a memorial set up for him on Gone Too Soon memorial website, which in actual fact crashed today because of the huge volume of people from all over the world that were coming on there to leave memorial messages for him. But the gonetoosoon.org website is now back up and running, and anybody who tried to leave a message of support or tribute today, then please come back and visit again and you'll be able to leave another message.
OK, thanks for that, Terry. Good to talk to you. Terry George there live for us.